because it's 1 minute to, or 2 minutes to. So, good evening everyone. Let's hope this one goes more smoothly. Excellent. Oh, that's even... come on, there we are. Oh, let's turn that noise down so I can know that can hear. Good evening, Joe. Good evening. You're a glutton for punishment this evening. That's number 2. I have to say I'm rather pleased with that other one. That's worked quite well. It works quite well. Right. Coolio. We've got a different project planned tonight with all this one. You'll be glad to know with almost no painting, she says, with a paintbrush in her hands and some paint out. But hey ho! Good evening, Tracy. Good evening, Jill. Good evening, Diane. Hello, Paula. Hello, Helen. So I apologise for the late start for the live this evening. I did post in the group that it was going to be late. If you could tag people in case they missed the post, because it's not always possible to see them. I know that. Good evening, Sylvia. But I'm wondering maybe, you know, if this is a better time for people to go live than 7 o'clock in the evening. Answers on a postcard, please, because it's always good. We're just going to wait for the clock to tick round to 8 o'clock, and then we will start, if that's okay. There we are. I have no idea how many people will be joining this evening. Good evening, Stuart. As I say, because of the change in time, so we are going to do very little painting. As I say, tonight it's predominantly a paper craft activity, because I finished a live 20 minutes ago and just grabbed some tea and reset for this one. I had it all, did have it all planned though, to be fair. So we are just on 8 o'clock. So we are going to be decorating an MDF bauble this evening. So these baubles are from Personal Impressions, but there are several other places that PI distribute to that also have them in stock. So have a hunt around or get one cut for yourself. It is, she says, having managed to misplace her normal ruler. That will be the floor from earlier on. It is approximately 22 centimetres, so in old money 8.5 inches wide. So quite a big sized piece, definitely a statement piece. They do little dinky ones which would work quite well as well. They are maybe 3 inches wide. So let me just stick that over there because it doesn't need any priming. I have got some clay pieces from a Prima redesign mould, but basically it is a border mould, so you can do pretty much what you want with you know, any border that you want. And I have some paint in a pretty colour that will match the papers. Good evening, Joe. That match or coordinates with the papers that I'm using. This one is by Paint Fusion, which is a all-in-one, doesn't need priming, mineral paint suitable for furniture. But I've got a little tester pot that from a retreat in the summer or late autumn, so I'm just going to use that. But you know, any acrylic paint will do just fine. It does not need to be fancy. It's just that this colour worked really well, and I am using all around Christmas, all around Xmas even, to give the collection its full title, which is essentially a paper craft collection. And this project is definitely more a paper craft project than a mixed media one, because I've just done a full-on mixed media live over on Pentart's page, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to reset clear decks and grab all the other paints and bits that I might need. So there we are. But for me, just because I've got the paint out now and I've got paper, does not, contrary to some well-known celebrity crafters' comments, make it a mixed media piece. It's definitely not the definition of mixed media. It is definitely more of a paper craft project this evening. Good evening, Sheila. Thank you so much for joining me. I think we're going to have very few people online tonight. I don't know. Always takes a while for things to add up, and one dose of me is probably more than enough for most people in an evening, I would have thought. But it was this or cancel, and I'm aware that Wednesday evenings have been a bit hit and miss recently for a whole host of reasons. So there we are. And I apologise because I am still coughing like a lunatic. So that can go there, that can go there, that can go there. Won't matter if that is, she says. Make sure I got it at least vaguely painted. It's not so much of a problem on the inside for this one because the paper is a mixture of greens and whites anyway. Eek. Right, clean hands. Paper crafting. Paper crafting paint, not a natural combination, are they? You end up with paint over everything you don't want it over. Good evening, Amelia. Thank you for watching this evening. This is not generally a show with lots of moulds, I'm afraid. And I haven't even got any rice paper out, which is again quite unusual for me, but hey ho, I have got some MDF and that will work just fine. So front and back to projects so that we've got them that are different. So as I say, I've used all around Christmas, and I simply took one of the sheets of paper. This one has this on the other side, and my personal opinion is just too big as it is, but you know, you may find a use for it as is. But the background image is lovely and uber usable, and all I've done is draw around it and then chop it out. It will have a white border, so I've actually got ground espresso distress oxide in my hands, just to edge it so that we don't have the white border showing long term. There we go. Because I have an anathema to white borders. So, and I'm using Pentart Express glue, which tends to be my go-to glue, but it could be any PVA, doesn't necessarily have to be this one. We're going to do both sides. We're going to do the back first. I know that might seem a bit strange, but we are going to do the back of the project first. I might be here for a month of Sundays. Good evening, Debbie. Welcome. Sorry for the strange noise. I've just decided to revert to opening a pot of glue rather than the express glue, so that we're with a fine knob applicator, so we're not here all evening. Let's find a moderately naffed brush, that'll do. We'll just add a layer of glue all around here, so that we make sure our paper adheres nicely. We really want it lifting up. I like using bauble blanks at this time of the year. There are some lovely, well, this is a fairly straightforward one, but there are definitely some lovely alternatives. Good evening, Delia, welcome. Thank you very much for watching this evening. I'm very used to the fact that whatever time you go live, you never suit everyone, because life is busy. This MDF is drinking up this, so I'm going to be pretty generous, particularly around the edges, and then I can park my inked piece over the top of there. Give that a little push down. I will need that back shortly. So there we are. And I might even treat myself in a minute to a new sanding sponge. Of course, I've got 50 of them, because that's what Amazon sell them as. Very inconsiderate, like, but that's what they do, sell them as. So yeah. I think it was just easier to get it from Amazon than anywhere else. So let's give this a little bit of a dry. Rub down. Is that my knife? Oh, that might be a knife even. So the problem is when you draw around something to and then cut it out, you inevitably end up with a piece that is bigger than the object that you are covering. So there is always a bit of messing to do to get it sorted, and we will do a bit of sanding in a minute. Let's just pop that hole back into there. Right. Excellent. And we can pull those pieces out and find a smaller file, she says, and she can't see one, but she knows she's got them. There we are, there it is. Hi Alison, thank you. I'm very well, darling, thank you. That wasn't quite the shape one I wanted, but there we are. Let's just take that off there, that off there. The joy of a new sanding pad. We might well re-ink this because I haven't inked it first. You can take me. Good evening, Jan. Welcome, welcome. So I suspect what many of you who are watching me this evening don't know is that my roots as a crafter came from scrapbooking and very much from paper craft and then mini books and things, and it really wasn't mixed media. So I'm going back to my roots this evening because I just thought it was going to be easier to do that, and I have a plan that uses the second half of the bauble that I used in Print Art Live, because why not? Dusty muck every which way. Let's just take that out of the way, and then let's just re-edge that, because why not? Because it's good to do things twice, isn't it? Not. There we are. But it's going to be better, and it will look better on term. So remember, this is the back of this project, so I'm going to keep it decorative but also flat. Doesn't mean it won't have interest, but I don't want it lifting up and off the page. So these are pieces from the paper pad, All Around Christmas by Stamperia, that's available in lots of shops in the UK. So it should be, if you're inspired, should be at least ones that you can find. I know it's not always possible to find everything, but then, and I also don't believe that you should necessarily be buying everything. This is a concept and an ideal that could be transposed to pretty much any paper pad that has the theme that you want to have as a decorative piece. So as I say, I don't want people to feel that you just have to buy everything, because that's way not true and completely not affordable. Yeah. She says washing up air dry clay, but hey ho, there we are. That can sit and dry happily on its own, and then I just have to try and work out what the purpose of this was. Good evening, Tracy, how are you? There we are. So let's pop that there, pop that there, pop that there, get rid of those that are in the way. So my plan is to have that there. We're going to pop this here, and then we're going to build a collage from these rice paper. Now these pieces come from the front cover of the paper collection, and Stamperia do this quite a lot nowadays. Add add pieces that will help on covers, so that areas aren't wasted. So let's just sort of vaguely centralise that. As I say, I'm intentionally keeping this size fairly flat rather than adding lots of detail, because if you want to hang it up, then actually you need a surface that is not bouncing off the walls, but the front is definitely going to be uber dimensional. Let's pop that into there. So when I'm doing places like this, I like to lay everything out. I'll have a little bit of wriggle time with some of these, but it's allowing me to position what I want where I want it, and then I work from there backwards because I just find it easier to lift and glue rather than having it all flat at the same time. So there we are. So those trapping in those half pieces, it's something again that you'll see me do an awful lot of, is chop stuff up and not bother about using whole elements. Just because there's an element's been made as a whole piece, you really don't have to use it as a whole piece. You can chop whatever bits out you want. That can go there. This piece can go into here. I think I prefer that way. And that one can go in there, and we'll add that on, and that will be back done. Could add some stamping if you wanted around the edges, because that would be relatively flat, but you don't have to. And then let's at least try and get the happy holidays. Right, and this is from the back cover of, I think that will be the collectibles pad that goes with this collection. There we are. So we'll pop that into there. So let me just have a little wipe of the excess glue, because it dries shiny and I don't like shiny spots on my mix. There we are. That can go there. Make sure we haven't got any gubbins on there. Pop that down. So, rinse and repeat. Good evening, Anya. This is very definitely, my darling, not a mixed media live tonight. I've already done one of those for Pentart, so I apologise, but it's not, if that's what you were hoping for. It's so not. I'll be able to trim that later on. So let's just pop that into there. And then I have a round bit, she says. And I did have some 3D glue on. So there we are. So this is cut from one of the 12 by 12 sheets. As I say, this is nearly 9 inches, and this is the back of it. But it's going to form the basis of my scene. So let's just pop this onto here. Yeah, I think they're very useful. I think if a range has backgrounds and collectibles as well as paper pad, I think you almost don't need to buy the paper pad. I think that's probably reasonably straight. Because I think you've got all of the fancy add-on layering elements in in the piece that you've got. So why do you need to then have an alternative, apart from the fact that if you're making an album, maybe. I'm just going to trim this as I did before, take off the excess, and then we'll add some inking around the edges of that. I'm glad you do, darling. I know I've seen you do a wonderful scrapbook album, a mini album a while ago, and that was just fabulous. And I noticed that you're teaching next spring in Cardiff for that bit. Yeah, Cardiff. That's been promoted. I saw your post the other day about that, so that's cool. It's a flipping long way for me to go, and the cost of getting there will be ridiculous, so you might count me out, but we'll see. There's a lot of interesting teachers coming over. If people haven't seen that, the advanced notifications of that, could be worth keeping a little eye out for it. If you're a fan of Finnabat, Evetta Zinedine, Olga Heldwin, Anya, Sam Thompson, yeah, lots of people. Oh, and Lou Withers, that's the other person, and David Trepazar. I think I've probably now covered everyone. Don't wish to offend anyone by not having covered them, so I will apologise up front if that's the case, because it's not my intention to miss any of them that lineup out, but I think I've probably got there. I think it might be a bit of a challenge to get people. Nunica, thank you, Anne. Yes, I knew there was someone else. I think it might be a bit of a challenge. Cardiff's a flipping long way out for lots of people, but I do hope it goes well for everyone who's involved's sake. It's a nice concept, that is for certain. I will find a small nail file at some point and tidy up in there, because I really don't know where it's gone. And the one I've got is square, so that's really not cutting the mustard. There we are. That might be all we need for bits and pieces. So, but yeah, there's a great group of collectives together coming, so good opportunity if you're new to mixed media to see lots of creatives in one place. Try lots of different styles, if that's what you want to do. We'll just have to see what it comes out at price wise and the logistics, because we all have a budget, don't we, that we can have to manage. So there we are. It's just, and I know it's a white paper, but I'm going to edge it because it frames it. Now then, I did do a mixed media live earlier on. Honestly, I did. And I used a plexiglass half on that live. There we are. So I've now got half a plexiglass, and I have popped it into place and drawn round it because I'm wanting to add things into the centre of here before popping that in. And all of these pieces have been cut from that piece, and I have a plan, surprisingly. Okay, so some of these pieces I'm going to put in flat, and some of them I'm going to lift up on some 3D pads, and I did have them all out, and now I cannot see them, but I do have some lovely pin flare glue. So let's hope that this is not bunged up and dried up, because that will be a pain if it is. Oh no, I can get that out of that. It's even better, even better, even better. Right, so you have a little mirror. So we're essentially going to make a little room scene, because I think it will look rather nice. And it really is as simple as just collecting your pieces together and making sure you keep them inside the frame, the circle that you've drawn. And just give it all a little bit of a wriggle with some ink. There we are. Cool. So we just, this piece is probably the biggest one that you can get into here. But bookcase is good. That sits in a room, I think. I think a bookcase goes in a room. And then we've got a little clock. And we have to, you have to remember that the plexiglass is domed, so it's like that, so the edges are not as tall as the centre, and it's probably only about an inch and a half deep in the first place, so you really can't go uber high and still be able to get, and I know that looks like it's floating, but it won't do by the time it's finished. I promise, I promise, I promise. So we're going to pop that there. But we're going to pop, and we're going to pop that in front of it. I think we're going to pop that way. So let us just add a little bob of that there. So I've got some foam pads on the pieces that I knew needed to be raised up. So I've got different depths, so that can go there, and that can sit in front of there. And the cat, and I know I haven't inked it, but sometimes life's too short. Right, so our most dimensional piece is actually going to be our tree, but we need to fill this space so it doesn't look like it's floating. So I'm going to pop those underneath there. We'll give that a little bit of an ink. a little bit of the ink, and then we can pop our tree. Now the joy of using the pin flare is that it gives you lots of, you know, some wriggle room, doesn't it, for manipulating. And I've just curved that with my hands, so that's going to sit on there, comme ça. And at this point I want to make sure that I haven't gone too high with the piece, so that will fit in there. But it's already, I can feel, beginning to feel quite full, so I know now that I don't want to be adding necessarily lots more height in front of here, but I do think we could have a little corgi dog, would be lovely, comes in the collection, part of it. We could add a little dog poking out from underneath there, or we could add him sitting in front. If I'm going to put him in front, I'm going to have to put him relatively flat, because otherwise I won't be able to get that sorted. We might have a little basket of wool tucked behind there. What else have we got? We've got a little present, because we have presents around the tree. I'll pop that underneath there, pop that there. We've got another little present. They say these have all come from the paper pads, so it's just a good way of using different things. There we are, building up our Laeyrs, and I think we're going to have a little bit of decoration along the top of our bookcase, because why not? And these can just have a little bit of paper shaping, because the whole thing is suitable. Okay, so that's sitting in there. Sitting in there. We've got, do we want to add? Yeah, we're going to add that into there. Look at it under there. So, clean the mucky mitts, because you could add elements to make this into a shaker at this point. Because I've got pin flare in there that is wet, if I add shaker elements into here, they will promptly stick to everything. However, so the option is yours. I think it would look very pretty with some shaker elements, but they are not essential. So that is just going to catch that lot all into there. Swipe off that. Put your mucky mitts over the top of your plexiglass, why not? That will all walk off. And now we've got a wobbled dog, and I can't lift that off, so that's going to have to stay wobbled, and that is also fine. So we will lid that. So let's just put a bit of that all the way around there. Right. can then add just a nice frame around here. We can pick off any hot glue long term that we don't want, but it's definitely easier to add this with some hot glue. You will definitely want, especially once it's dry, because otherwise you'll be spending forever and ever and ever. Pop that into there, hold it in place, and this will also help lock the, so I can take a knife and lift off the excess hot glue as I want to. There we are, get rid of that. We're going to be quick tonight. That'll make a change, won't it? Let's just have a chop with that. Excellent. I like it when a plan comes together. So we just squash those into place. So the eagle eyes will see that there's still stuff on my desk. So for me, this is quite a clean, simple project. We have not quite finished, but, she says. Right, let's de-yuck the fingers, not with hot glue. There we are. So we might just then decide that we're going to add some extra pieces, because we can. She says, having tried to burn her fingers. I'm adding that there partly because I've made a mess putting that edge on. But partly because I actually think it's going to look nice too. There we are, that can sit down there, that can come off there, that can come off there. The joys of hot glue. The joys of hot glue. And you can add a little bit underneath there and hold that into there with your asbestos fingers not. So that can go there. Right, we have a little bell and Christmas time and some pieces of bunting, because everyone has to have a bit of bunting, don't we? Yeah? So I'm going to pop a little bit there, a little bit there. That's going to go there. That's going to go there. We've got an extra piece of bunting. This is a smaller piece. There we are with that. That can go equally into there. There we are. And we've got another piece that we can curve. It's actually straight, but it's angled enough. It's got enough flexibility in it to be able to add. Let's get rid of that. So we've not got matching colours. What he thinks, we'll add a bit of that and a bit of that. She says. Okay, so we might chop that end off there. Pop another bit of glue there. There we are. We'll add that. She says she's got all sorts of stringy bits every which way. So I think we will add an edged poinsettia onto there, because I think that will work and look really pretty. Have our bow. Alison, the key to this, my darling, is the fact that I had everything fussy cut out. So yes, it is coming together quickly, but I knew where I was going, is number one, and I had all the pieces cut out, and that's half the battle. So it probably took me a couple of, maybe an hour to chop it, a couple of hours, because I chopped the whole collectibles pads up at the same time, and then 40 minutes to pop these all pieces together. And rather than so I don't just want one piece popped in and over, but I've got some other pieces, so I'm going to build up these over here. And believe me, ladies, this is easier with the hot glue than it is with clay pieces that are dried. Because the clay pieces that are dried, it just takes a little bit more effort and movement. So let's just add that into there. So we've got 3 areas, and then we'll give this a little wipe with a clean cloth, if I can find a clean cloth, because oh, there we are, they're on the floor. So that's a good place to put them. So let's just wipe some of these bits off the surface, get rid of the glue strands, get rid of those bits. That will help, and give it a polish when it's dry. There we are. Do I want to pop that in there? I think I am going to pop that into there, so let's just think that. So this is just again from one of the papers, so that can go tucked in and under. Make sure it's vaguely parallel to that. And do we want to add, I think I'm just going to tuck another piece underneath there, because it just needs it for a little bit of balance. Yeah, we're all the same. This is no way near completely how I had it planned, but I've got all of the elements and a vague concept of where I was going. So if I use them all up, I'll have done it quite a job, I think. That's when you burn your fingers, ladies, when you lift stuff up and pop it underneath. So I definitely need, that will need a bit of a polish. We've got another little poinsettia here. Yeah, so let's just pop that onto there. And if this is going to behave, we'll have some is it going to behave? That'll be no, so we'll not use that one then, we'll use this one. So this is a contour pen. This one is from Pentart, but Stamperia released a whole mountain of contour pens in the summer, so they are easily available from your Stamperia stockists, of which there are many in the UK. We'll just add a little bit more extra information into there. So Have I used all my bits? I have used all my bits. Hey, oh, I haven't used all my bits. But I don't want to have that now. I've added something different instead. So, I'll give that a good clean and polish afterwards when it's dry. Thank you. Thanks Alison, thanks Sheila, thanks Jan. Would you like to see the one I did for Pentart earlier on this evening? That's on the it's on the Pentart page. It's different. It uses the other half of the bauble. So similar, yeah? There we are. It's got a finer applicator to liquid pearls, Viola, but you could just as easily use liquid pearls. So this is the other one. So for those of you that didn't were otherwise engaged or didn't even know that I had a live earlier on this evening for Pentart, this is the project I did then, and it uses the other half of the acrylic bauble. So same base concept, two very different styles. I hope that you have enjoyed it. You've managed to provide some entertainment for the evening, some solace for those of you that might just have needed some company, and to know that there were others out there. And I wish you all a good night and stay safe. Thank you for watching earlier. Thank you. So for now, that's all I think I need to do. So let me just stop this stream for us. There.